Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of our Ballers podcast. Again, this is your host, Peter the Rock, along with my boy, Jazzy Main.
In the building.
I hope everyone's having a nice day. We were going to
Get this
try to
thing
do this.
jumping.
Yeah, we were going to try to do this yesterday, but it was my birthday, so I wasn't available. But we're going to get back into it today because there is a lot to go over. And I think the biggest thing we should start with has just been the craziness over the past couple days. I know LeBron tweeted comments about it. Kawhi's out with an injury. Chris Paul's
There's a
got
lot going
COVID.
on.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with this. Uh, LeBron James tweeted that he predicted that this year would be injury riddled and that it would be affecting the playoffs and it would be affecting the players. Do you think he's right to say that, or do you think he's just trying to cover himself up for him losing in the first round?
I don't think he's wrong for saying that, but at the same time, it don't take Nostradamus to understand that, like the season got started early. Like it's not a normal season. COVID affected things. I mean, everything got pushed forward. So of course there's going to be injuries, but I feel like LeBron just wants to control the league.
Not only that, LeBron, he has the mindset, or he's trying to perceive the mindset of, hey, I'm for the players, which makes sense, right? Because
True,
he's always
true.
been a players kind of guy. But at the same time, I feel like it's super fishy. Like, especially with some of the moves that I talked about in the last podcast with him changing his number. I feel like he's trying to back up the mistakes that have been made by him and his organization because
Well, I don't understand what he thinks would be ideal. What should the NBA have done?
yeah, again, the NBA is a business, right? And people, fans of the NBA, want to see the NBA players play, and most of the players want to play as well. That's their job, right? It's like most of the, I would say probably all the NBA players love what they do. They get to play ball all day, and they get to do what they like have been doing for their whole lives. So I don't doubt that they don't love the game. I do kind of agree that a shortened schedule and not a lot of a break in the summer, especially for a guy as old as LeBron, it's gonna suck. But you know what? At the end of the day, you got 72 games to get your shit ready. And if you don't got your shit ready after 72 games, what's the point? Even you, as LeBron, I'm speaking as LeBron. Even he mentioned that fucking his team wasn't ready, and people saw it in the regular season. Fucking, they were coasting, and even I was like, man, these guys, they could be. I don't care about what anybody says. You know what? Regular season play shows off how you're going to play in the playoffs. Uh, whenever I compete, I used to be a taekwondo athlete before I got injured. The rule was you practice the same intensity and the same way you would compete in a game or in a tournament.
Yeah, if not harder. Like a lot of times the practice should be harder than the
Exactly.
playing field.
Because you need to get your cardio up. You need to get your shit together. You need to get your intensity up. You need to get your lungs, if per se, You got to work. You got to work hard, especially in the playoffs because everything's magnified in the playoffs. Every bead of sweat,
Well,
every ounce of energy. You got to fucking be on that shit. And you know what? LeBron, obviously, this year, he couldn't do it enough, and AD was injured, and I guess he couldn't convince his players to do the same because, let's be honest, his cast sucked. But onto the injury bug. Kawhi Leonard goes down with a like ACL injury out of nowhere, which sucks because I love Kawhi. He brought a ring to Toronto, so that man will forever be ingrained in my mind. But then you get Chris Paul with COVID out of like again out of no, it seemed like out of nowhere, and he's out indefinitely, and so is Kawhi.
you have to feel bad for Chris Paul because he's fought the right way. He's clawed the right way to get there. And
Chris
finally, he's in the Western Conference Finals again.
and he just gets derailed. And you know what, Devin Booker, I love the guy, but I've mentioned this before. Without Chris Paul, Devin Booker, he doesn't have the same type of gameplay because every guy needs another guy. Like you need a good teammate, at least one good teammate to compete in the playoffs. And I think that's why Denver got smoked because you know what? Jamal Murray in the first round, Monte Morris, Austin Rivers, Michael Porter Jr. picked up the slack hard, and it was great because Damian Lillard put on one of the best NBA performances of all time in the playoffs. But in the second round, they fell asleep, and you know what? That's the difference. A
The
4-0
NBA
sweep
has become more of a balancing act during the regular season.
for sure.
More than ever, people are resting their guys for the playoffs. Back in the past, it wasn't like that. It was
No,
full fledged. what you got, you put on the floor.
Oh yeah, people
Now
were
it's
complaining about the
rest your
Raptors doing that,
guys
right?
and wait for the
People
playoffs.
were complaining about Kawhi when Kawhi was on the Raptors, like, oh, you're just resting him. He's not actually injured. It's like, bro, if you have a knee injury, if you've never gone through a knee injury before, you don't understand. That shit's debilitating. It's literally the most important part of a basketball player's arsenal is having decent knees. Look at Derrick Rose.
Uh,
Knees gone. He's not a superstar anymore. Fuck. Kawhi Leonard, if his knees are bad, he plays half-assed. You know,
yeah, it's like that was Dirk's demise as well. He looked real stiff out there.
when especially when you're tall, man. Being tall is a real.
Yeah, tall guys.
It really fucks up your knees.
It's
Being
a
a heavy,
blessing and a curse.
it is 100%. But man, speaking of performances, I was just talking about Damian Lillard. Now, for everybody that watches the NBA, which is probably going to be everybody that listens to this podcast, I honestly I said to everybody that Damian Lillard had one of the best, if not the best, playoff performance I've ever seen in my life, dropping 55 in 2 periods of overtime added to the regulation. And then KD
I don't.
comes along against the Bucks and absolutely shits on every other game I've ever watched. Now, I've seen replays. I'm saying live. The man played every fucking minute of the entire game, dropped 49, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists. Holy fucking shit.
49-point triple double.
In
Very
the
tough.
playoffs against a team that had
Team
full
on his back though.
dude, he had his full roster to face against with Giannis and the Bucks, and he was missing basically James Harden, who only scored 6 points, four of which were at the line, and then Kyrie was out, and he just said, "Fuck it, I'm playing every minute." And people were fucking dissing Mike Budenholzer. They said, "Mike, this is what you do to win," because he was doing some
Well,
weird
what I don't
lineups in that
understand
game.
is Giannis is what first team or second team all
First team,
defense.
he's
Is
first
he
team
first team?
NBA,
Okay,
but I don't know about defense.
I'm pretty sure he's second team all defense. Well, anyway, why is he not guarding KD?
I don't understand that.
Why
Why,
you're
like,
7 foot?
yeah,
You
he's
get to
basically
match
7
up
foot.
physically.
He's
You're stronger. Get your ass on KD, bro.
I don't honestly. I don't even think it was his call because you know what? Again, I'm not gonna take away anything from PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker's a
Oh yeah,
dog,
he's
right? He's good. He's been playing.
resilient.
He
That's
played
for
center
sure.
on the Rockets, and he's 6'5". That takes cojones. That takes balls because there's some big motherfuckers that play center in the league. Being
He got
six foot
tired of that fast though.
100%. You can't sustain that shit, man. Being 6'5" and facing up against guys like even Zion, bro. Zion makes 7-footers look like babies, but. You,
Small ball is taking over the league, but you still have to have a big man in some circumstance.
Listen, Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year and then got fired the next season because he did not know how to make his lineups work and he wasn't good at changing on the fly. And Mike Budenholzer is showing signs of that because let's be honest, you should not lose when the other
Did,
team is
did,
missing basically two of their three superstars. Because let's be honest,
did
James
you
Harden there could have been a paperclip and that would have done the same thing. You get 6 points and four of them are free throws. That's ass. You have your
did you see
fucking.
Stan Van Gundy got fired
I didn't even see that, man.
after 1 year? Yeah, the Pelicans coach. He used to coach in Detroit, so I mean, I like Van Gundy as a person, and both the brothers are great.
The
But
league is
as
fast
far as a
paced, man.
coach,
The league is fast paced. If you don't,
I don't
if
know. They're just outdated, I guess.
yeah,
I don't know what's going on with
you know what
them.
it is too. If you're not winning, the coach gets a lot of the blame right now, and that applies for every NBA team, right? In some cases, firing the coach works. Again, I'll bring it back to Dwayne Casey, won Coach of the Year, brought us to the Eastern Conference
I
Finals.
cannot believe that went down like that. By the way,
Yeah, he got
I
fired.
thought that was like a wild move. How do you fire the coach of the year?
Well, we won a chip, right?
It
Nick Nurse.
worked. It
Honestly,
worked.
Nick Nurse, I think he's 100% better than Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey likes to play against the Raptors because he knows all of our sets and stuff. But Nick
I mean, I
Nurse,
understand that, but I'm just saying, like, with the
yeah.
president that
Again,
comes with
Masai Ujiri, he was a
coach of the
gambling man that
year.
year, man. He was a gambling man that year. He put chips in the pot that were like just fuck it. I'm taking this, and we're either or this is ride or die, and it worked.
And
But
like I was saying before, he made several of those small moves. They picked up Gasol for Jonas. Like,
yeah,
it
that was
takes
great.
the little pieces of the puzzle to fit to have the whole picture.
100%, 100%. But speaking of NBA teams, the other big part of the news that's been out in the past couple of
Oh
days
my
was
goodness!
the NBA released its first, second, third teams, and we've already talked about a little bit about the defensive teams. And yeah, I honestly I don't understand what goes on in that process because I was looking at the list. I'm like, this is kind of trash. You're like the first and second team I agree with, but why the fuck is
I'm gonna
Kevin?
make my case for Westbrook. How do you average a triple double? He brought a lot of wins to Washington.
How did Bradley
How does that
Beal
not
get
at
put
least
over?
deserve
Yeah.
third
How
team?
did Bradley Beal get there instead of fucking Westbrook? How the fuck did Kyrie get on the list instead of KD? Like KD got snubbed. Yes, he was slightly injured for the year, but the man is like it's Kevin Durant. You put him on the court and he instantly produces. He hadn't played for a full season. He came back like nothing was wrong. And he played hard the entire season. You put Kyrie, who's missed weeks of time because of personal choices. Again, I'll say personal choices because a lot of it had to do with religious choices, but I'm not going to get into that. But
The Nets periodically rested their players like one at a time, so it's hard to like choose like
I would pick Kevin
which
Durant over
which
Kyrie,
one,
100%. I don't like again. Kyrie has the probably some of the best dribble moves in the NBA. It's probably of all time. He's up there on the list. But it's fucking Kevin
Do you
Durant.
think Julius Erving deserved
Julius Randle, you mean?
second team?
Uh,
Not Julius Erving.
not
Julius,
Dr. J, the other Julius.
Dr. J,
Honestly,
Dr.
maybe
J.
third because again, on the team
That's what I was thinking.
because he was great. Like MIP is nothing to snub at, right? Like that's a very very good achievement because honestly, MVP is like amazing, but MIP shows growth, right? MIP shows that you this season went from okay to great, or you really improved your gameplay to the point where it's like, hey, a great job. You're now an all star because again, he was an all star this year, 100%. But how does Trey Young not make a team where he's literally willing his entire existence to fucking up the Philadelphia 76ers? And for anybody that doesn't
Not
know,
only
I
did
do
he
not
have
like Philly,
like
but I'm not being biased. Not putting Trey is a
he
fucking
had
shame.
personal success and he brought the Hawks to a nice playoff run,
Again, let me ask this: why the
a
fuck is
high
Jimmy
seed
Butler
for
there?
the Hawks.
Why the fuck is
That's the
Jimmy?
real question.
Why is Jimmy Butler on the list of third team? Jimmy didn't do dick this year. I don't understand.
Because
Like
Pat Riley has pull.
Pat Riley definitely has pull. Again, I like Jimmy Butler. I think he's one of the biggest dogs in the NBA. Like he's big dog. He's a hard worker. But why? Why? Why Rudy
He
Gobert?
definitely called the Timberwolves out.
Dude, even Rudy Gobert, bro. Fucking yeah, you won DPOI, so you're on first NBA defensive team. The man averages like what?
CPOY.
Basic barely double digit points and just a couple of like I don't understand like that I would put KD over them. And then even looking at the Suns, bro, Chris Paul, well
Westbrook.
deserved, got second team. Booker snubbed. I don't know why. Booker is the man has dropped 70 points in an NBA game, and he's
Do you
probably one of the
remember the
best.
year?
Like I don't know. It's baffling to me, man.
Do you remember the year? That's my bad. Do you remember the year that Marc Gasol had
One
he won
MVP
defensive player of the
or a
no, defensive
DPOI
player of the
and he was on the
year
second. Yeah, that was so weird.
was on the second team.
Yeah, that's the NBA. Honestly, it's like again, a lot of it's a popularity contest, and I get that, right? Like you got to have some sway, and you got to be like likable, but on as NBA
There's some
fans, like,
politics going on there.
dude, the first thing people said was, "Where the fuck is Westbrook? Where the fuck is Jason Tatum?" Like guys that have put in so much work, and guys that put in numbers. Like that's the biggest thing in the NBA, right? People like looking at the numbers. Like if you see a guy drop 50 points, you're like, "Damn, that's good."
You remember that?
You remember it. Jason Tatum, honestly, in the playoffs, Boston was
He was
like
a
down and out, but he was like one of
monster.
those reasons why they actually had a chance. You know,
Do you think they would have did a lot better with Brown in?
100%. Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum are fucking. They are the
I don't
future of
think they
that
should
team.
split that up. I think
No,
they should keep that
they're in a league of
dynamic
duos.
they have.
In a league of duos, because as soon as Kawhi left and the league became like a very duo eccentric league, that duo is great because they're grit and grind. Jason Tatum is just they're both big. They're both dogs.
Both nice wing players.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, man, it's a shame, right? Like again, at the end of the day, we will remember them for like the skill that they had in the regular season and the playoffs, but not making an All NBA team and you're putting up a triple double season. Like that's just disrespectful. That's again. I don't personally like Westbrook as a player because like I do think sometimes like the big man on their team like Robin Lopez kind
He
of
gets
like.
a lot of hate.
But yeah, I don't think he deserves that much hate. Fuck, that's brutal. It's super brutal. And again, Westbrook, in my opinion, should have a ring by now, but obviously it
I
didn't
don't
work
think
that
he'll
way.
ring Chase.
I don't think he'll ring chase, no, because again, everybody's calling out ring chasing, and that's why like guys like Giannis and guys like Booker have so much respect because they've been loyal to the soil. Damian Lillard, man, we talked about it the first episode. That man is as loyal as a fucking golden retriever, man. That guy is just disgustingly loyal, and sometimes it's like, oh man, We kind of want you to
He's
leave
my
now.
favorite point guard in the league,
Oh yeah,
Dame Dollar.
him and Steph Curry are crazy. You know, I'm happy Steph Curry
Like
made the first team, bro.
Allen Iverson, did you see what he said about him?
No, what did you say?
He was on Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes' podcast, and he was talking about different players he liked in the league. And he was talking about somebody, then he said, but that motherfucker, Dame Dollar.
You know
And
what?
he was like choking up over him because he was so nasty.
You know what's crazy? Damian Lillard, especially when he got drafted and especially when he started doing like his music thing, even me, I'm like, yo, like what? Can we just see you play basketball? And it kind of like I think it kind of tainted what he was doing a little bit because a lot of the players in the
I,
NBA right now, you can say that they're not ring
I
chasing.
have to
They're
disagree on that one, Pete.
you think, eh?
Yeah, I think that added to his dynamic as a whole. Of course, it takes away from basketball,
Yeah,
but
that
it's a passion he has, you
That
know.
that's the point I'm trying to make because you know what, like a lot of people when they talk about the
Yeah,
Philadelphia 76ers, and I say it too, a lot of the guys on their team, especially before they got really really good, they were like, oh, these guys are just glory chasing. They're just trying to become famous and popular. And you know what, like when a guy like Damian Lillard, like when he starts dropping like albums and stuff, and he starts doing that on the side, it's kind of like, oh, are you in it
that's
for the
like
basketball? Or are you in
Lonzo
it
Ball
for
does that as well.
yeah, but Lonzo Ball is like yeah, Lonzo Ball is Lonzo Ball.
Not
He's kind of
same
a
tier.
he's an interesting type of player too, with the whole BBB and him. Yeah, it's I like it how he's kind of steered away from that a little bit more because let's be honest, it was really really kind of crazy what was happening with that. But yeah, you know, Damian Lillard, you can't deny the greatness, man. Like again, Steph Curry, basically since 2014, 2013, he's been the fucking guy.
He was on fire, bro, for that
He,
period.
dude,
Like
he
he
was
made his
disgusting.
legacy in like 6 years.
Not even, man. Like even maybe you could say he like again just what he had to overcome with his ankle injuries and surgeries and basically almost getting dropped by the team because of it, and then just coming back and being like, yeah, I'm the best shooter of all time. Like
Bro,
it,
that boy Monte Ellis was a monster. And for him just to totally eclipse Monte Ellis and for them to get rid of him, like, nope, I'm the future,
yeah.
that was different.
You know
Oh,
what?
what a snag.
My younger cousin, he's a big basketball guy. Like he is right now in like he's actually like considered like he's trying to get in the NBA. He's trying to work out. He's trying to do his shit, especially during COVID. It's been tough, but he had a couple acceptances in U.S. high schools. He just didn't do it because of COVID. But I remember in 2010 we were at a gym with him, and he was like really young. He was like maybe 8 or 9, and he's wearing a Steph Curry shirt number 30. I'm like, who's that? He goes, this is Steph Curry. He just got drafted last year. And he looked at me. He's like, he's going to be one of the best players and one of the best shooters in the NBA in the next couple seasons. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but
Oh,
sure.
yeah, bro. You didn't see him coming out of Davidson?
Not really, but you
Well,
know what?
you're
My
from
cousin,
Canada,
like
so
I
it's
said, my
different. Like
cousin was on the
college
ball.
basketball is not prevalent as much up there, huh?
Yeah, you know what? Again, March, especially up in Canada, March Madness is great. Like I always like watching March Madness, and I've been watching more college ball just because I've been like a little older now. I got enough. Like I go to find it, but yeah, like
Bro, that's where like college ball used to be so great because uh, the players like it meant more. You know, it's not as
I
much as a
honestly,
business as it used to be.
I always say that NBA the
But I'm
NBA
for the
refs,
players. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
I always say NBA refs should take note from the college refs because honestly, college refs they got their shit together. They know exactly what they're doing. I love it, and they have total control, which is amazing. Because we mentioned it last time, the NBA refs half the time they have no control over what's happening in the game because it's just like they don't even know themselves. So it's really nice to watch college ball because the players too because they're younger and because they're still kind of like teenagers slash young adults they don't fight back against the refs. They never complain because the ref is the authority figure on the court, which is nice. It's really nice to see. And that's why I love watching college ball because the game is smoother. The players know that a hard foul is going to be the only foul they call, and they're not going to, most of the time, they're not going to call tic tac. Sometimes, again, obviously, refs make mistakes, but I think overall, I like watching college ball more than basketball in the NBA sometimes when it comes to the refing. And I'll stick with that notion because I think college refs should start refing in the NBA. That's how good I think they are. Uh,
But yeah, you should definitely check out Steph Curry's Davidson highlights because that man was a monster. Davidson's like a small school, so it's like for somebody like him to come out of there and just dominate, it took over the nation, you know.
you know, again, I do like watching March Madness. I don't watch as much college ball as I like, but that's also because I have a little bit of a busy schedule. But I wanted to steer back to the playoffs for a second because you know we talked about it at the beginning. I kind of glanced over it, but can we appreciate? I talked about Trae Young already. Can we appreciate what the playoffs are like right now? Like again,
Oh yeah, it's looking great.
the
Like
injuries suck,
this
but
is it's a lot more new than
Yeah,
past
dude.
years, that's for sure.
Atlanta, again, you even said it, Atlanta coming back against Philly is hilarious and amazing, and I love it.
Twice, 2 games
Twice.
in a row, they just melt down, collapse.
If I told
Uh,
you in game one of the regular season, oh,
They don't
Atlanta's
have a
making the
closer,
playoffs,
man.
Atlanta making the playoffs and going to the second round. First of all, Atlanta hasn't sniffed the playoffs in I don't even remember how long. How long has Paul Millsap been in the league? Like Atlanta's been
That team they had with Joe Johnson and Corver when they made some noise.
yeah, but oh my goodness, like it is wild the fact that Atlanta is putting up a fight like they are, and I love it.
Dude, they might get to the Eastern Conference Finals the
I
way it's
think they
looking.
will. I think I've always
Philly don't
mentioned
have
this.
a closer, bro.
I've mentioned this about Joel
Tobias
Embiid.
Harris was great, but
Yeah, but I've mentioned this
at the
about
end of the
Joel Embiid.
game, they were looking for Seth Curry, and he just couldn't close. Like they
The role
expected
players
him to do
in
everything.
the playoffs, the role players make a huge difference, bro. They do. And I say this, but I've said this before, and I say this again. Joel Embiid, in my opinion, he's too streaky because he's too emotional. Like especially with crowds in the audience again, he gets manipulated by the fans so hard when it comes to just balling because he fucking it's like his mood
He played
changes
good
based.
last night. I
Yeah,
can't lie, but
yeah,
in the last
good
3 minutes,
good won't
everybody
cut.
just iced
Yeah,
out, bro.
good won't cut it, right? That's the problem. Good can't cut it in the playoffs. You have to be great or you got to go home. And Trey Young has been great. Trey Young has been fantastic. Trey Young has been a refreshing change of pace for the league. Because you know what, I think we talked
So
about
much
this before.
skill.
The monotony of seeing LeBron versus Curry and Golden State in the playoffs. People were like, "Bruh, this is 5 years in a row now. Like, are you kidding? Like, what the fuck? Like, you can just basically bet on it. It's a guaranteed thing." But man, this year, the Suns, Utah, and Atlanta all being in contention for like a conference finals. It's shit that like 5, 6 years ago you'd be like, no fucking way. Especially with like the Suns, Atlanta, like just those type of teams have never been in the modern era fantastic. But now it's fun to see.
You just said it all, Pete. It's a new era.
It is a fucking new era, and I love it. I really do. Because you know what? It's going to be tough the day LeBron James retires, right? Kevin Durant's getting older. Steph Curry's getting older. But, bro, I like the direction that
There's
the
some
league is
fresh,
going.
good talent.
Even Giannis, man. Giannis, people forget he's only
Yeah, he's still
27.
young.
He's got 7 more years of prime. And that's like, again, that's just me. It's not even me capping. Like, yeah, Giannis, he could be effective till he's like LeBron's age, just the way he plays. He just needs to develop a little bit of a jump shot. But and then there's guys like again Damian Lillard, fucking Luka Doncic, Zion Williamson. You gotta appreciate John Morant too, man. John Morant not only made it to the playoffs after playing two really grit and grind play-in games, he also put up numbers against the fucking Jazz, and he he almost domed Rudy Gobert a couple times too. Like that shit's so much fun to
I think
see.
he'll be All NBA next season.
He should. If he doesn't, it'll be a snub, and we'll be back in this conversation this time next year. Yeah, he's John Morant's that type of player you just like to watch, and that's what I like about the league right now. There's so much talent that you're sitting there like, okay, look at Luca, look at fucking Ja, okay, look at Zion dogging people, look at Giannis dunking on everybody. Man, I just hope it keeps up. I just hope the league keeps going in the right direction.
I'm excited to see this year's draft.
Yeah, well,
Cade Cunningham is going to be a monster. But I pray Detroit gets him.
bro, the Raptors have a 7.5%
Detroit.
chance. They have the same percent chance that Pelicans did to get Zion. You gotta like it.
We're looking at a top 5 pick this year when usually we're 8 to
Yeah.
12.
Oh man. Last thing before we go, I gotta ask. Right now, at this point in time, the Suns have made it past to the Western Conference Finals already. They swept Denver, but there's three different series that are at 3-2. Clippers are up 3-2 on Utah after doing exactly the same thing they did against the Mavs. Then you got Atlanta winning 3-2 against Philly, and then finally you got right now the Bucks losing 3-2 against the Nets. Who makes it out of the second round? Who makes it to the conference finals in each team in each conference?
I'm going to stick with the Nets. And I don't know.
Because you know what, like I'm
It's
gonna
tough.
yeah I'm gonna say it right now. Atlanta, I'm gonna put my money on them because again, Toronto fans have beef with Philly. The Toronto fans have never been fans of Philly, so I'm gonna put my money on Atlanta making it to the next round. I'm gonna put my money on obviously the Suns have already made it. I'm gonna say the Bucks if Harden doesn't play again or if he plays like garbage again. I think the Bucks might actually make it out of there, and I want the Bucks to because I'm a big fan of Giannis. So I'm gonna say the Bucks.
I think the Nets and the Hawks in the East.
I think it's gonna be the Bucks, the Hawks, obviously the Suns, and then finally I'm gonna have to put my money on the Clippers. You know, Paul George really stepped up, and they're missing Kawhi, but I think they can still do it. I think that's still gonna be there.
Yeah, I'll take the Clippers as well. The
It's
Jazz are tough, but I'm a Kawhi dude as well.
Yeah. You know what? It's all dependent on Donovan Mitchell, right? Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys. He's always played with a chip on his shoulder, right? Especially after him losing the Rookie of the Year to fucking Ben Simmons, who was already in the league for a couple seasons before he won the Rookie of the Year. People's
That and Shaq calling him out on live TV in the post game interview.
You know what, Shaq though, again, with shit like that, people always dog Shaq. Like, why you gotta be such an ass? But Shaq, he's got the same type of style that like MJ does. He calls people out because he knows that's what puts them on their ass, and that's what puts them in the right mindset, right? Like Shaq's done it before too. Every single time he does it, he either got to put up or shut up. And if you shut up, he makes you feel bad about it. He's like, bro, I challenged you, and you basically said, nah, I'm good. Whereas Donovan Mitchell's like, okay, bet, and fucking popped off. You know what? I appreciate Jack for that. Sometimes he's not the smartest man, but a lot of the times he does it just
Mitchell's
because.
another one of those should be All NBA soon
Yeah,
players.
I don't understand. Like, I guess he got snubbed from that too, right? He didn't make it this year, which is again another travesty. But again, what are you gonna do? My opinion, they should make it a couple. They should put a couple more players on the All NBA team, just because I feel like every year people are always mad about the
Or an
snubs.
honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable like a fourth team, right? Even like something like that. Like I think people would appreciate a fourth team just to be like, you know what, these guys, we
These guys deserve it, but they didn't make it.
yeah, you know, like again, because the league's a big league, right? There's so many players in the league. There's 30 teams. Each team's got 15 players. That's a lot of people on the court, right? That's a lot of people that can earn a spot in the league with the All NBA team, right? Not all of them are all stars or superstars, but again, when you see guys like Tatum not make the cut, Westbrook, KD not making the cut, like I said, he just dropped the 49-point triple double. He didn't make an All NBA team. Fuck, like what are you doing? Uh, actually, I
I
have
think
another question.
KD dropped that 49-point triple double because he's seen that actually and
Oh,
was
for
like, yeah,
sure.
fuck
Yeah, he took
y'all.
it personally. I actually have one more question before we finish. And this, what was I? Oh man, I just lost my train of thought, but I'll get it back. Um, do you think the fans should have more of a vote or less of a vote when it comes to
Less,
awards?
less.
Thank you. I'm not the only one that says it, right? Like again, I'm all for the fans getting their input,
Too much
and
bias.
it's too much bias, right? Like again, Derrick Rose, I love Derrick Rose, right? There's no way he's in the top 10 MVP vote. But
I actually like that. I
the
like
fans
that.
put him number one, which I appreciate, right? Because I like Derrick Rose, and if it was any other player,
But
I'd be mad.
realistically, he wasn't gonna get it. You know.
Realistically, he wasn't going to get it, so it's again, it's not going to hurt anybody. But it's funny, right? It's like it's almost like a meme. It's like, oh yeah, dude, let's put Derrick Rose, because again, like the
I
young
don't think that's a meme, bro. I think it's the respect that they have for him.
that too, I would agree with that. But you know what? Like, it's
Like I
just
don't think it's fluky.
I think it's but again, sometimes the fans
Through,
they do shit just for like entertainment
ooh, get
purposes,
that
right?
out of here.
I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather like the guys who deserve it and the players who know the game are the ones that call the shots with that. Because again, right, I trust the players that have played in the league. That's why I like guys like Reggie Miller being a commentator, right? Fucking
I
who
need one
better?
assist for a triple double.
But you know what? It's again the fans. Fans this year have been really bad, right? Like as soon as fans got the ability to go back in the games, they really show off why some people are just born assholes. Like you just again, I understand COVID makes people go a little bit wild and they're trying to get back to normal, but the fans in the NBA arenas, like they gotta make sure they know like there's consequences for doing shit to NBA players. They have so much pull, right? Like Westbrook fucking he charged the guy that threw a water bottle at him for assault. That and the guy's like 22. That's a fucking stain on your life. So NBA fans gotta they gotta start acting right to fucking just be allowed to go into the games. Fuck, we're still not out of COVID yet here in Canada, so I think everyone's got to smarten up. But otherwise, you know what, everybody? I think that's going to be it for today. We were a little freestyling today, but I think it was good. I liked it. Jazzy, what do you think?
Oh yeah.
And thank you everybody for listening. Again, if you guys have any questions, if you guys want to hear anything about the league, if you guys have any comments, make sure to like, subscribe, follow the podcast. Every little bit helps. You know, we hit 250 subs the other day, which is huge because now with the algorithm, you got to get to at least 1,000 to make any money. But we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it for the. We're just doing it for
The
the
love
fun.
of
You
the
know,
game, baby. The love of
100%.
the game.
So everybody have an awesome one. Again, this is Peter the Rock signing out with my boy Jazzy Main. I hope you guys have a
Yes,
great
sir.
day, and I'll hit you
Have a
guys up
blessed
later.
one.
Peace, boys.